Let me start with a simple image. An 86-year-old man who has ruled a nation for decades with iron certainty, now living beneath the earth. Not metaphorically, literally, deep underground, behind concrete walls, wrapped in tunnels, cut off from daylight, cut off from his own people. That man is Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. And when leaders start hiding underground, history tells us something serious is breaking. This isn't rumor whispered on social media. This isn't gossip passed around by opposition groups. This is intelligence-backed reporting from multiple sources, confirmed by the sudden, unmistakable behavior of governments, militaries, and financial institutions across the world. Khamenei didn't go underground because he wanted privacy. He went underground because he was warned that the pressure building around Iran is no longer political noise, warned that the usual threats might finally turn real, warned that the safety net he's relied on for decades is tearing.
Donald Trump is calling on Iran's leaders to come to the negotiating table as a second armada makes its way to the region. The US president, intent on striking a nuclear deal with the Islamic Republic in the wake of its recent bloody crackdown on anti-government protests. Demonstrations had broken out over the state of Iran's economy, weighed down by crippling Western sanctions.
And here's the part that should make everyone pause. This isn't happening in isolation. At the exact same moment, European governments crossed a line they avoided for years. American warships started moving in a way that leaves very little room for misinterpretation. And inside Iran, the streets are boiling, even though the internet has been switched off like a light bulb. This is what a pressure cooker looks like right before the lid rattles. According to sources close to Iran's ruling structure, Khamenei has relocated to a fortified underground bunker in Tehran, part of a hardened network of tunnels designed for continuity of leadership during an attack. In plain language, this is a doomsday office, a place built for the moment when missiles start flying and the chain of command must survive. Think about that. A man who once appeared confidently on balconies in mosques before cheering crowds is now running a country from underground. Even more telling, his third son, Masoud Khamenei, has quietly taken over daily operations of the Supreme Leader's office. He's now acting as the main communication channel between the hidden leader and Iran's executive branches. That's not a routine administrative shift. That's emergency succession behavior. This is the political equivalent of someone handing over their phone passwords just in case. And it didn't happen randomly. For weeks, Iran has been burning from the inside. Merchant strikes shut down parts of Tehran. Protests erupted across cities and towns. Then came the blackout, internet gone, mobile networks cut, 90 million people suddenly disconnected from the world. That alone tells you how scared a government is. Because regimes don't silence entire nations unless they fear what the nation is saying. Human rights groups report thousands killed, arrests by the tens of thousands, families searching for loved ones who vanished into detention centers that don't answer questions. And while all this was happening, Iran's supreme leader was almost invisible. No public appearances, no speeches addressing the nation, no reassurance, just silence. The kind of silence that makes people wonder who's really in control. Then came Washington. Last Saturday, President Donald Trump did something very deliberate. He didn't threaten sanctions, he didn't announce talks, he didn't issue a vague warning. He said it out loud. It's time to look for new leadership in Iran. That's not diplomatic language. That's regime change talk, even if wrapped in a calm voice. Trump dismissed Iran's leadership claims that foreign pressure caused the unrest. He said the problem was catastrophic governance. In other words, don't blame us for the fire, you lit the match yourselves. A few days later, he went further. We have a lot of ships going that direction, he told reporters. We have an armada, a massive fleet. And then came the line that makes generals sit up straight. Maybe we won't have to use it. That's not reassurance, that's pressure. When a president says maybe we won't have to use it, what he's really saying is, we're ready if we do. Now here's where everything changes. For years, the European Union resisted one decision above all others, labeling Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, the IRGC, as a terrorist organization. They sanctioned individuals, they froze assets, they issued travel bans, but they avoided that label. Why? Because once you call something terrorism, you don't go back. You shut doors, you close channels, you prepare for consequences. This week, that wall collapsed. After a meeting of European foreign ministers, the EU officially designated the IRGC a terrorist organization. Kaja Kallas, the EU's top diplomat, didn't mince words. Repression cannot go unanswered, she said. Any regime that kills thousands of its own people is working toward its own demise. That statement alone tells you how far things have moved. France and Spain, two countries that previously hesitated, switched positions. Italy followed after new evidence showed the scale of the crackdown. Germany and the Netherlands had been pushing for this moment for years. The dam finally broke. This designation isn't symbolic fluff. It means asset freezes, funding bans, travel prohibitions, and, this is crucial, it allows EU states to detain IRGC members who enter their territory. In simple terms, the IRGC just became radioactive in Europe. And that matters because the IRGC isn't just a military unit. It's the backbone of Iran's power, an estimated 125,000 to 190,000 troops, its own army, navy, air force, intelligence wing, direct loyalty to Khamenei himself. It controls missile programs, internal repression, foreign proxy operations, and massive chunks of Iran's economy. When Europe says terrorist, it's not scolding. It's drawing a line in wet concrete. Now imagine being Iran's supreme leader and watching this unfold. Your people are protesting, your security forces are stretched, your internet shutdown hasn't stopped dissent, only hidden it. Europe just criminalized your most powerful institution, and American aircraft carriers are changing direction. At that point, paranoia stops being paranoia. It becomes survival instinct. Which brings us to the next revelation. Intelligence reports suggest Khamenei has a contingency plan to flee Iran entirely if his security forces begin to fracture. Not resign, not negotiate, escape. The plan reportedly involves leaving Tehran with close family members and aides if the army or police begin defecting. The likely destination? Moscow. Because when you've alienated the West, crushed your own people, and burned diplomatic bridges, your options get very limited. Reports also indicate that assets are being moved, property secured, cash positioned. The kind of preparation you make when you're not confident you'll be home next month. For context, Reuters once estimated Khamenei's financial empire at around $95 billion, spread across semi-state foundations and opaque conglomerates. This is not a poor man hiding in fear. This is a powerful man preparing for exile. And still, the story gets darker. Sources say the bunker he's hiding in is buried nearly 100 meters underground in Tehran's Lavazan area, protected by anti-aircraft and anti-bomb systems, more secure than some nuclear facilities that have already been attacked in recent years. He hasn't posted on social media since mid-January. For a leader who once used online messaging to project strength, silence speaks louder than words. Meanwhile, the US military quietly made its own move. The USS Abraham Lincoln Carrier Strike Group was redirected from the Indo-Pacific to the Middle East. Along with it came guided missile destroyers capable of striking targets deep inside Iran. This is not posturing, this is positioning. Iran's president responded by warning that any strike on Khamenei would mean all-out war, and Iran's parliament added fuel to the fire, declaring that any attack on the supreme leader would trigger a declaration of jihad. At this point, the question isn't whether tensions are high. They are. The question is whether anyone blinks first. Because when leaders hide underground, when fleets move silently across oceans, and when entire populations are cut off from the internet, history tells us something dangerous is forming. And we're only at the beginning. The moment the European Union officially labeled the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps a terrorist organization, Tehran didn't just feel pressured, it felt cornered. Iran's foreign minister, Abbas Araghchi, wasted no time responding. His words were sharp, angry, and very deliberate. He accused Europe of hypocrisy, of selective outrage, of pretending to care about human rights in Iran while, in his words, ignoring what he called Israel's genocide in Gaza. And here's the thing. That argument wasn't aimed at European leaders. It was aimed at the global audience. This is how regimes under pressure fight back rhetorically. They don't deny the accusations, they counterattack the accuser's moral credibility. Araghchi framed the EU's move as a public relations stunt by a declining power, a desperate attempt to appear relevant while hiding its own failures. In plain terms, Tehran is saying, you don't get to lecture us. But rhetoric can't undo policy, because alongside the terrorist designation came something far more concrete: new European sanctions. 15 individuals, 6 entities, names that matter inside Iran. Among them, the Interior Minister and the Prosecutor General, the people directly responsible for internal security, arrests, and prosecutions during the protest crackdown. This wasn't symbolic condemnation anymore. This was personal, and it landed while Iran was already struggling to control the narrative. Iranian authorities have acknowledged over 3,000 deaths linked to the unrest, including civilians and security personnel. Independent human rights groups place the number far higher, with thousands more still unaccounted for. And here's where the fog thickens. With the internet largely shut down, no one truly knows the full scale of what's happening inside Iran. Information leaks out through fragments, satellite images, intercepted communications, and testimony from those who managed to escape. This uncertainty is dangerous, because uncertainty is where miscalculation thrives. The Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps responded the only way it knows how: with threats. Its commander declared the force at the highest level of readiness, warning that any enemy miscalculation would be met decisively. He accused Donald Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu of being responsible for the deaths of Iranian youth. This wasn't just bluster. This was a signal to allies and adversaries alike that Iran sees itself already at war, even if the shooting hasn't fully started. And Israel is paying very close attention. Israeli media reports revealed frequent, urgent contact between Netanyahu and U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio. Calls over the weekend, calls during the week, more calls expected. That doesn't happen unless contingency plans are being discussed. According to Israeli television, American officials now believe the likelihood of a U.S. strike on Iran has increased significantly. One American source said bluntly that given the bloodshed, Trump may feel compelled to act within days. That's not a leak designed to calm markets. That's a warning. Then, suddenly, a pause. President Trump told reporters that he had been informed the killing of protesters had stopped, that executions would not proceed, that very important sources on the other side had assured him. But notice what he didn't say. He didn't say military action was off the table. He didn't name his sources. He didn't guarantee anything. Instead, he left the statement hanging, just ambiguous enough to keep pressure intact. And ambiguity, in moments like this, is strategic, because Trump understands something very well. Leverage disappears the moment you relax it. Inside Iran, the government is scrambling to project strength. State television broadcasts massive funeral processions, images of crowds, chants, flags, public mourning designed to show unity and loyalty. But even Western officials acknowledge the reality. While the unrest shocked authorities and exposed deep vulnerabilities, the regime does not yet appear on the verge of collapse. The security apparatus remains largely intact. The IRGC still controls the streets. The military has not fractured, yet. And that yet is doing a lot of work. Because what's different this time isn't just protests, it's convergence. Domestic unrest, economic collapse, currency at record lows, European isolation, American naval pressure, Israeli readiness, and a supreme leader hiding underground while his son runs day-to-day affairs. That combination is rare, and markets are watching. Oil traders are on edge. A single missile, a single misread radar signal, a single strike could send energy prices soaring worldwide. Inflation would follow. Shipping lanes could close. Insurance premiums would spike. Defense contractors are already analyzing the buildup, not politically, but financially. War, after all, is an industry. Inside intelligence agencies, analysts are tracking Iran's readiness, internal cohesion, and potential responses through proxy forces. Hezbollah, militias in Iraq, groups across Yemen and Syria. This isn't just about Iran anymore. It's about whether one decision triggers 10 others. And here's the irony that history loves to serve. The IRGC was created in 1979 to protect the Islamic Revolution from collapse. Now, its designation as a terrorist organization by Europe has turned it into a symbol of Iran's isolation. The very force meant to preserve the system may now be accelerating its crisis. Israeli officials welcomed the EU's move openly, calling it historic and damaging to Iran's legitimacy. From their perspective, this narrows Iran's ability to operate, fund, and move freely in Europe. And Washington is coordinating closely. Pentagon officials remain on standby, awaiting directives. Strike scenarios are reportedly being reviewed. Naval assets are in place. Allies are aligned. At the center of it all is an aging leader who no longer appears in public, whose online presence has gone silent, and who is reportedly planning escape routes while assets are quietly secured abroad. That image matters, because regimes survive on perception as much as power, and nothing undermines the image of strength like a leader underground while his country burns above him. Regional powers are trying to intervene diplomatically. Turkey, Gulf states, quiet intermediaries, everyone who understands that once missiles fly, control disappears. But the window is closing. Trump's rhetoric, Europe's sanctions, Israel's posture, Iran's threats. These are not the signals of de-escalation, they are the signals of a countdown. And one thing is certain, if conflict erupts, it won't stay contained. It will ripple through oil markets, shipping lanes, proxy conflicts, and global politics. Ordinary people, far from Tehran or Washington, will feel it at gas pumps, grocery stores, and retirement accounts. This isn't a distant crisis, it's a global one. As Iran's supreme leader shelters underground, as the IRGC is branded terrorist, and as American warships hover near Iranian waters, the Islamic Republic faces its most serious challenge since the revolution that created it. Whether this ends in negotiation, miscalculation, or open conflict may be decided not in speeches, but in silence, delays, and decisions made behind closed doors in the coming days. And that's why this story matters. Now I want to hear from you. Do you think this is the beginning of a major conflict, or the final pressure before negotiations? Is military action inevitable, or will diplomacy pull this back from the edge? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If you found this analysis valuable, support the work by liking the video. And subscribe to the channel so you don't miss what happens next, because this story is far from over. We're watching it closely.